Psychic fragmentation into many senses of self. If dissociation is consistently implemented as a coping mechanism for traumatic experiences in early life, before ages 6 to 9 when the personality is fully formed, this can lead to the development of many defined senses of self, maintained by dissociation. This is known as dissociative identity disorder, or the closely related, otherwise specified dissociative disorder. With dissociative identity disorder, two or more distinct identities exist within one body. The overall self, or psyche, is divided into multiple identities. These distinct identities are commonly referred to as alters or parts. Personality fragmentation is colloquially called multiplicity, and a person with personality fragmentation a multiple. All of the psychic parts, collectively, are known as a system. Other terms that refer to parts of a system include psychic parts, dissociated parts, personalities, identities, headmates, system members, and system mates. For this reason, I view all parts as equal. Each part has their own unique experience of life. Distinct parts possess individual thoughts, feelings, memories, worldviews, sense of self, gender, romantic or sexual orientation, and really any other qualities that may be contained within a single individual identity. Dissociative identity disorder is the most complex of the dissociative disorders, and includes the presence of symptoms from the previously listed dissociative disorders. As such, DID includes depersonalization and derealization, dissociative amnesia, identity alteration, and identity confusion. Identity alteration is, essentially, experiencing the psyche as multiple. It is the sense that the overall personality is divided into multiple parts, each with their own unique sense of identity, and that the overall identity is altered based upon switches and shifts amongst the system of parts. To recap, identity confusion is defined as uncertainty about one's own sense of self. Dissociative amnesia is considered the inability to recall salient personal experiences due to psychological factors, and is heavily involved in maintaining psychic fragmentation in dissociative identity disorder. Amnesia can come in many forms, including partial and full amnesia. Dissociative amnesia can also include amnesia for the amnesia itself, meaning an individual experiencing amnesia will not even notice the loss of time or information. Dissociative amnesia is crucial in DID because amnesia allows information to be held by certain dissociated parts of the psyche and unknown by other parts. Awareness, or lack of awareness, of life experiences and emotions shapes individual parts' sense of self. With dissociation and psychic fragmentation, it is more common to experience partial amnesia than full amnesia. Partial amnesia is the inability to recall certain parts of an experience. This can manifest as possessing objective awareness of an event, like knowledge that it happened, but without conscious awareness of details, such as what effect it had on the psyche, lack of awareness for related emotions or cognitions. Partial amnesia is adaptive because it shields an individual from overwhelming aspects of the experience, without causing the disorienting repercussions of full time loss. Full amnesia, the inability to recall any parts of an experience, is perceived simply as lost time. This is comparable to the experience of an alcohol-induced blackout, and occurs with psychic fragmentation when dissociation between psychic parts is elevated. Similar to partial amnesia is microamnesia, which is amnesia for small amounts of time, such as seconds during shifts within the system. Once the psyche is fragmented in cases such as dissociative identity disorder, each part develops their own sense of self. Each part's individual personality is formed as they experience life and relationships. In this way, each psychic part forms a personality in the same way that a single personality is formed. Psychic parts may also be deliberately halted from forming their own personalities by being kept dissociated, effectively stopping them from connecting to their own experience and forming their own personality. In my case, my psyche fragmented as many psychic parts developed defined individual personalities. Meanwhile, my own experiences were hidden from my awareness, and so my own sense of self remained unconscious and unexpressed for much of my early life. Dissociative identity disorder was formerly known as multiple personality disorder, but the name was changed to dissociative identity disorder to more accurately portray the condition, dissociation that causes the experience of multiple senses of self, not a personality disorder, as MPD incorrectly implied. Although DID forms during the early years of life, it is often not diagnosed until around age 30 on average, as it is difficult to detect due to its covert nature. The roots of psychic fragmentation in chronic instability, insecure attachment, and childhood trauma. When a child is terrified and needs support but is alone, the psyche protects from further suffering by detaching awareness of experiences. In a sense, fragmentation and dissociation is the psyche's self-care system. In order to ameliorate trauma when unsupported, the psyche must take care of itself, and this is done with dissociation. With dissociation, missed needs and overwhelming feelings are distanced from conscious awareness. The psyche ensures its own preservation by fragmenting experiences. This environment of missed needs and emotional disconnect can lead to what is known as complex post-traumatic stress disorder, also called developmental trauma disorder. CPTSD involves psychic fragmentation and dissociation. In CPTSD, dissociated parts hold sensory experiences, but not a differentiated sense of self like psychic parts present in DID. Unmet dependency needs, disrupted attachment, and overwhelming emotional states can all lead an individual to develop CPTSD. In individuals predisposed to dissociation, the development of CPTSD in early life can contribute to psychic fragmentation, potentially progressing to dissociative identity disorder. Thankfully, awareness of PTSD has increased in recent decades. However, complex PTSD is still under-recognized. As of today, neither CPTSD nor developmental trauma disorder are formal clinical diagnoses in the DSM-5. Although these diagnoses are not officially in the DSM-5, the terms complex PTSD and developmental trauma disorder are used by treatment providers and researchers who recognize these issues. Dissociation is an effective short-term solution for coping with trauma. Trauma means wound. Therefore, psychological trauma can be considered a psychic wound, which is inflicted by an experience that overwhelms the individual's ability to cope. It is accepted by psychologists that early childhood trauma is necessary for DID to develop. A unified personality is usually formed, integrated into one singular personality, by around age 6, and up to age 9 to account for individuals with developmental delays. Therefore, to cause dissociative identity disorder, repeated trauma must occur before the age of personality formation. Dissociation interrupts the process of personality integration, allowing parts to remain separate. If traumatic experiences have recurred in an individual's life before the personality is integrated, the psyche may be compelled to remain disintegrated, as this allows the psyche to contain traumatic experiences from conscious awareness. Dissociation was psychologically adaptive for me throughout childhood because I experienced repeated traumas without adequate support. My psyche was forced to rely on dissociation as a protective mechanism, a means of containing trauma when it can't yet be escaped or processed. An especially psychologically harmful experience for children is attachment trauma or relational trauma. Attachment trauma occurs when a child is not adequately cared for by their caregiver, when their dependency needs are unmet. Relational trauma can shape an individual's attachment style and cause an infant to fail to form a secure attachment with their caregiver. Secure attachment is healthy attachment, which is formed between a caregiver and child when the child's needs are consistently met. Secure attachment is crucial for a child because it teaches emotion regulation skills and allows them to trust in their own safety. Having secure attachment allows healthy emotion regulation, trust in the world, and hope in the future. A sense of security is crucial for children to develop healthily. Security allows children to explore their world and their inner experiences. A child's exploration of their own experience shapes their psychological, social, and emotional reality, and assists in achieving developmental milestones. In a supportive environment, they can grow, take root, and flourish. With secure attachment, kids feel confident that they will be protected and supported by their caregivers, and that their caregivers will consistently be available to help support them through their experience. A sense of support and security allows a child to feel safe enough to acknowledge their inner emotional experiences instead of disconnecting from them. An individual's sense of self is formed by connection to inner and outer experiences, including emotional state and social relationships. Psychic fragmentation, like dissociative identity disorder, can be viewed, therefore, as a disorder of attachment and affect regulation. The inability to manage intense feelings may trigger a change in self-state from one prominent viewpoint to another. In this way, depersonalization, derealization, amnesia, and identity alteration and identity confusion can all be considered efforts at self-regulation when affect regulation fails. Security in childhood. Development of trust and integration of experiences. Children are dependent upon their caregivers to satisfy basic needs known as dependency needs. If caregivers consistently provide these needs, if they are consistent sources of food, comfort, and love, then an infant learns that others are reliable and dependable. This allows the development of trust and secure attachment. According to psychologist Erik Erikson's psychosocial theory of personality development, a child has a strong need to trust in their own safety, both with caregivers and in the world in general. Children must feel that their basic needs are consistently met by their caregivers, that they are securely seen, accepted, cared for, and supported in order to trust and feel safe in life. The need to trust is one of the primary needs a child holds, especially in the first few years of life during which they are completely helpless. Therefore, in addition to missed relational needs, the consistent lack of any needs can be psychologically damaging to a child and lead to dissociation. Other dependency needs include physical security and emotional support. Basic needs for physical survival include adequate food, water, shelter, and sleep. Being deprived of any of these basic physical survival needs will hinder a child's ability to focus on other aspects of life, like socializing, learning, or working. A child also has a need for physical safety, meaning assurance they are safe from personal danger and threats, in order to feel secure and unafraid in life. If a child is consistently afraid of attack, especially in their own home, they will feel consistently anxious, and their psychological and emotional development will likely be hindered. Children need to be able to trust that they are safe and that their primary caregivers, such as their parents, will care for them and not allow them to come to harm. Trust is important for children to feel secure. They need to be able to trust in the predictability and consistency of their caregiver to ensure their own safety. If a child is able to trust their needs will be met, they develop a sense of trust which they can carry with them throughout life into other relationships and scenarios. It is important for children to have their physical and emotional needs met because this allows secure attachment and helps children feel safe and supported in their experiences. A sense of safety and support allows a child's psyche to integrate experiences that may be overwhelming without support. When a child's physical survival and physical safety needs are consistently met, a child may consciously acknowledge their emotional needs. Basic emotional needs include a need for love, emotional connection, secure attachment, affection, understanding, and belonging. Children need assistance with emotion regulation and are ideally taught these skills from parents. Additionally, to develop healthy self-esteem, children need a sense of being seen, respected, and valued as a unique individual. They also need a sense of mastery of experiences, which engenders a feeling of capability and autonomy. When a caregiver meets a child's emotional needs, this allows the child to feel safe, secure, understood, accepted, and supported, enough to explore their world and acknowledge their experiences. The term psyche means soul. When a child feels stable in their world, their psyche is able to integrate their various experiences over the first several years of life into one unified sense of self. Conversely, if dependency needs are unmet, a child may be unable to integrate their experiences. Instead, experiences like unmet physical and emotional needs will remain disintegrated, compartmentalized within the psyche. In this sense, the psyche may fragment, thereby quarantining certain experiences from conscious awareness. In this episode, I have outlined dissociative identity disorder and how it is caused by instability in childhood. I have described the importance of attentive caregivers and stability in childhood for healthy psychological development. In the next episode, I will further explain how insecurity in childhood leads to the development of mistrust and disintegration of experiences, resulting in dissociative disorders. I hope you have found this information helpful, and thank you very much for listening.